Hey guys, it's Kelly Commentates. This is Skate to the Point Unfiltered Ice Chat. Thank you so much for being with me today. Today we're going to just kind of decompress from Flight 5342 and the recent horrific news that came out last week and chat a little bit about post-European championships as well. It's been so hard because just the moment that I heard the news and heard that the plane that crashed was from Wichita, just like my heart sank like immediately because that was the headline I saw. And literally my heart was in my feet. Like I was just like, please do not have, please, let there be survivors, because that was kind of something that was sort of pending and unknown in the very beginning. And from the looks of it, I was like, oh yeah, like definitely people could have survived. It's shallow water and yada, yada, yada. And then the next thing I thought is please let there be no deaths is wonderful. And please don't let there be any ice skaters. And I know that's kind of selfish and kind of a weird thought to have, but as many of you do too, you love ice skating as much as I do. And I just never want that to happen, to our sport. It's already kind of a small sport. It's kind of a small world. And in many countries, it's not super popular. And to take away those people who are working so hard and who just love this sport, I just find it devastating. Whenever any of these types of disasters happen, it always affects me very deeply. I don't know why. It always feels very personal. And just imagining when these horrible events happen to, of course, innocent people, no one deserves what happened. It's just always unfathomable and just really hard to process. Like I sort of start to spiral, like, why is this happening? Why are these innocent people being subjected to this? But honestly, you have to at least for me, I have to dig myself and pull myself right out of that hole and focus on the greater horizon. When I found out that, a lot of US skaters and stars of the future and coaches and people we know and just, I had seen Maxim Naumov's dad stand at the boards, watching his skating, cheering him on. And just to know that his life is over and, we'll never have that moment again. It's just devastating. That's really the only word I can use is devastating. When I found out that a lot of the victims were children, it's just incomprehensible. And I can't help but think over and over why, why this did not have to happen. Why are they clearing helicopters through that space? Why did they have to take runway 33? They weren't supposed to take that runway to begin with. That they were given that runway last minute. And if you look at the angle and just how the waterways go and where the helicopter was coming from, it's like just a recipe for disaster. I do not understand. A lot of pilots, so one thing about me is I love aviation as well. So this hurts just doubly so because I love airplanes. I love a lot of things about aviation, and they call it the Swiss cheese model, where all the holes have to line up in a row for a disaster to happen. But, it takes a lot of holes. So there's, 4 or 5 have to line up. And it happened this time. A perfect recipe for disaster occurred. And I just don't understand why it had to happen. So hold your loved ones tight. Let's keep supporting skating. I did hear today that there's going to be some kind of sports show. So it's going to include figure skating. And I think it's going to be in Boston, or it is going to be on the East Coast, but it's in support of the Boston Figure Skating Club, which lost, many members and many future stars and people who love skating. So that'll be something fun to look out for. How did you guys take this? How are you feeling about it? Comment below. I'd love for us to be able to support each other. I just haven't been able to post about it. It's just been too devastating, and let's just appreciate the time we do have. Moving on to post-Europeans, I've kind of been able to think it over and think more about it, and it was I would say it was actually a little bit of a shocking competition. Nikolai Memela rising up. A lot of people said he actually should have beaten Lucas Brycki. I haven't been able to rewatch the program since I first reviewed them, so I do want to go over that again. I don't know. I also saw some comments that people said Nikolai Memela has bad technique on his picking the toe that he picks the ice with on his quadruple lutz. But I really love it. I think also because he's so tall and he rotates so fast when he jumps, it kind of lends itself to looking sort of beautiful in a way. I was very happy for Nina Petrokina. Seeing someone skate like lights out, being so confident in their home country. I mean, the crowd was just going insane. Also, by the way, have any of you been to Estonia? Tallinn looked so beautiful, and I feel like it's on my list now of places to visit. I've definitely heard Latvia is very beautiful, but Estonia looks just as beautiful. And, I was really proud of her for being able to do what she did here. I also got to say, I think I didn't give Nina Pinzarone enough credit. I think that she is a really good skater, and a lot of her programs, while I didn't love her programs this year, I do think that they're good for her, if that makes sense. And she is able to emote, but I don't know, there's still something lacking with her skating for me personally, and I just think that it'll come with time. It's a little bit of artistry, but also she tends to under-rotate some parts of her jumps as well. So there's just stuff that Nina Pinzarone really will need to work on to make her skating that much better. Adam Schauhim-Fa dedicated his short program to the victims of the flight, and I just thought that was so classy and kind, and just really showed, again, that the figure skating community is a tight-knit community. It was also very lovely that Daniel Grassel gave a comment too, and you could tell it really impacted him because he had trained in Boston and knew a lot of those skaters. I think Daniel, definitely underperformed at Europeans. I thought that he would come in as a clear favorite to actually win the title. So I do wonder if, some of this had to do with losing his friends and people that he knew in the skating community this same week. I think it just showed that it was really hard for him. I was a little surprised about the sort of quote unquote fall from grace of Fear and Gibson. For a long time, I personally kind of considered them the number 2 or 3 top team, but it is pretty clear to me that it's Chalk and Bates, Guinard and Fabry, and Gillis and Poirier as kind of the top 3 teams in the world. It is unfortunate that ice dance is often so prevalent and based upon your reputation, which isn't really fair. It should be based on sport and who gives the best performance on the day. But unfortunately, it doesn't always tend to go that way. There is kind of an ordinal in skating, especially in ice dance. And it is a little bit sad that Fear and Gibson haven't really capitalized on that. But again, I really do think it boils down to the material they chose this year. A lot of people are saying, well, they're picking Beyonce for their free dance because the Worlds are in Boston. But my thing is do Bostonians really care about hearing Beyonce? The other thing is, I feel like a lot of people in the audience are going to be from other countries. And so I don't think it really matters if your free dance is to Beyonce or not, or I don't know. I just think if you want to pick an American artist, I feel like there are other artists that would be a little more interesting or entertaining. And there's just so many routes you can go if your whole, point is to appeal to an American audience. I just think the free dance comes off a little bit dated, especially the music they picked being so old. And I don't know, there's something really lacking in their free dance for me. So I, can't hesitate, unfortunately, to disagree with the judges because I really don't disagree. Guinard and Fabry's rhythm dance the more I watch it, the more it's a little disturbing because the packaging is just so wrong. You know, the mustard yellow and the ketchup red costumes just really look horrible, I would have to say. And it's nothing against them. I really like their skating, and I love that they've been around so long and continue to do what they love. And they're a beautiful partnership. But I just think the costumes and the music and the program, there's just something really lacking there. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, we're so far into the season. They're not going to change it now. So I am just kind of looking for a wash for next season so that we can get something a little bit better, and especially with better packaging as well. I think, if anything, Tequila and Verse Lewis just really shown themselves at this competition as a force to be reckoned with. I just think that there's a musicality to their performance, especially in the free dance. And, you know, they're just very on point. They're very dedicated, and I just really like their skating. I think they're a really exciting team, as are Smart and Deke. I just feel like Olivia truly gives to her performance and just really puts everything into it. She's just such an exciting skater, and I love to see it. I love their Dune program, and you know, even if you haven't seen the movie, I think you're able to kind of deduce from the way that the choreography lends itself to the music. You're really just able to appreciate the program. But I myself love Dune, the movie, so I love both movies. I actually think the second one was one of the best movies I've ever seen. The ending of that movie is beautiful, and I just love to see it brought to ice. Although it's obviously really trendy right now, so we probably have a handful, one too many Dune programs. Onto some just other ice skating news. This week is the Junior Nationals in Russia. The timelines of the Russian events are always confusing to me. I didn't realize that Junior Nationals was this late in the year. Would you guys like me to cover them? I know that I looked at some of the scoring, and the top 8 out of the top 10 skaters had scores of over 70 points. So the juniors in Russia are a whole other level, and I'd be happy to either recap them or commentate on them if that's something that would be interesting for you. The next competitions coming up are going to be 4 continents in a few weeks in February. And a week after that, we'll have Junior Worlds. So it's only going to be just a few more weeks of skating until we get to the Senior Worlds in Boston. The season is quickly approaching to an end. How are you guys feeling about it? What do you want to see me recap or review? Thank you so much for listening. Over and out. This is Kelly Commentates.